and drew some insight from what they had to offer us. I find these folks to be tremendously encouraging and truly inspiring. As I mentioned earlier, I've been around cooperatives now for about 17 years. There's plenty in the room that have been around them longer, but I got the bug, and it's by being around folks like them. So I'd like to offer a couple words. My final report as chair of the council. Do feel free to go navigate over to make some bids while I'm talking. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. And I know the link was posted in the chat. I got to say, and likely probably about the most unique year maybe in the council's 86-year history. And a lot of things could have happened in 86 years, and I might have missed some of them, but this was a very peculiar year. But I have to say the council really didn't seem to lose any ground. And grew in ways that we might not have foreseen before we got into the current world situation that we are. But under the guidance of my and I will say esteemed peers on the board of directors, and more importantly, our very capable and diligent executive director, Emily Nail. The council weathered very well through the global pandemic. And several things occurred. I got to say, we turned around, did a virtual camp for the teens. It's a very, very popular program for us, and we managed to pull that off and put it into a, yeah, thank you, Thomas. Thunderous applause for Emily now. I think it's really deserved. But to pull that camp off in a virtual setting, the co-op dynamics that I was fortunately able to attend was just phenomenal, very well received, and that program's expanding and more interest is being gained. We had another incredible audit. Thank you, Carolina Credit Union League, for conducting that for us. And thank you, Mark Davis, who with NC Grange, and we'll hear from him in a little bit, but thank you for taking care of that. We've done a number of member trainings on the virtual setting that have gone extremely well and very well received. And then several speaking spotlights, I guess we could call them, by Emily for other member organizations. She's not on the road like she used to be, but man, she is out there and hitting up all sorts of people, spreading the love of cooperatives. And I have to say, as we've heard from Carolina Country, over 700,000 of those go out every month. That is a phenomenal number of people, and Emily was featured in there, which was a very cool thing. So this is great stuff. I've seen so much happen with this council over the years that I've been involved, and I'm so happy to be working with the folks that I have, those that I have, those that have moved on, those that have come on, and those that are about to come on. It's been a really, really great ride, and I thank everybody for that. And I also will mention we did, as a council, adopted the 8th cooperative principle, and I would encourage you all to go check that out and think about those things a little more, and how we can be all a little more welcoming to the contributory nature of the human species. But really, wow, thank you for all that, Emily. And a lot of that is you. But I also want to send those thanks to my fellow board members. And to those coming on. I look forward to the commitment to and the support of cooperatives in North Carolina. Thank you to all the committees and their members. And going back to some of that programming, that Emily does a lot, but she has a whole bunch of people. Some of them are on this call. But I thank all of those folks that really, on that programming committee, really made it still happen. And that's with special thanks and deep gratitude to the folks that allowed us to continue the work that we do. You're very much appreciated, and you are valued greatly. So I'm going to go into a little bit of a list. It's there's a number of people that are critical to the business of the council. Real quickly before we get into these guys, we do have the title sponsor, Coastal Credit Union. Thank you so much. Our cooperative at home sponsor, the NC Electric Co-op's incredible. Our Jim Grant auction platform, there's something there that has to handle all those bids, Carolina Credit Union Foundation, and also the co-op box sponsor, the Central Electric Membership Corporation. Sorry if I threw you off a little bit there, Serena. I appreciate your help. But thanks also our supporting sponsors. That's what you were pulling up there on the screen. Each of these organizations provide all sorts of essential resources all through the year to help us do events, activities, and so much more. So I'm going to walk through each one of these because every one of them matters. So we got Pretty Tough. Born pretty, built pretty tough. Cabot, we hear a lot from Cabot, and I appreciate all their contributions over the years. CCE, Carolina Common Enterprise. Tom, good to see you here. Appreciate the work that you're doing, and I would like to talk to you about member ESOPs, as well as Bernie. Thank you. CCEC, Carteret Creighton Electric Co-op. Thank you for your support. Always there for us, and the Carolinas Credit Union Foundation. Of course, I'm close to them as a credit union person, but these guys are doing great work, and we appreciate your help as well. Carolinas Credit Union League, same thing. Thank you so much for your help and for a great audit. Central Electric Membership Corporation, another. The electrics are there for us a lot in a lot of different ways, and we appreciate your help. Civic Federal Credit Union, I appreciate the paycheck, but I also appreciate what they're doing in communities and the work that they're doing in just 2 short years, becoming a strong credit union, and glad to have you in the fold and for your support. Coastal Credit Union, we hear their name a lot for good reason, and we appreciate your ongoing and very heavily dedicated support. Always there. Black Farmers Market, great. I'm a Durham guy. Good to see them here, and welcome to the fold. We appreciate your support as well. Local Government Federal Credit Union. Maurice has been a great inspiration to my life, and he's done a lot for the credit union industry. They continue to do a whole lot to support this council, and I appreciate your support as well, as we all do. Love Asheville, love the logo, love Asheville, but we appreciate their support too. And it's good to have some folks out in the western part of the state get a little more representation with our organization. NC Electric Co-ops, they provide a lot. Thank you very much. And the NC Rural Center, doing incredible work. I know a lot of different people that have been involved with them over the years, and I appreciate their support, as do all of the board members and our members. And East Fork, another new to the fold group. We welcome you. Go check them out. I know I need to, because I can't say enough about them right here. So I need to know more. Welcome. Piedmont Electric Membership Corporation, another of those electric memberships, co-ops that we just love and appreciate your ongoing support. Skyline, Sky Best, another newer person to the fold. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it. And Weaver Street Market. I used to live in Carborough, and that's where I got to know these guys, and they've been a great contributor, and you've tasted plenty of their wares from your box. So thank you very much, Weaver Street. Appreciate what you do. Keep it up. Really, really fantastic stuff there. Let me mention a couple others. I do not want to forget these, and a really big thanks, and dare I say, a virtual hug to the resource suppliers that I might say. There's folks doing our annual audit. We get a lot of administrative support. Our accounting gets taken care of. Office space gets offered. Marketing support gets put up. And these have been by different people all through the time that we've been around, or the years that I've been around. So I didn't want to name everybody by name because I was afraid I would miss someone, and I don't want to miss anybody. So all of you that contribute time, money, space, resources, whatever that might be, we are greatly indebted to you and tremendously grateful for everything that you do for us. I also want to mention right now, Serena and Whitney. They have pulled this thing all together. They lent me a level of confidence that I was walking in and saying, this is going to run smooth, because they all have run smooth. They have done great contributions for us to help us manage our online presence very professionally, and that is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, ladies. So with that, that's enough. On behalf of my fellow board members in it, I thank you again for joining us today. We're all working to better life in North Carolina by promoting and growing the cooperative model for the Tar Heel state. And together, we are stronger. I hope you'll join us in spirit and in action as we move the model forward in 2021 and beyond. So I'd like to hear now from our treasurer, Mark Davis, I mentioned earlier with NC Grange, to give us our financial perspective. Mark.
Well, good afternoon, and greetings to everybody. Thank you for joining us. So we have the towers from downtown Raleigh to the hayfield in Rockingham County, North Carolina. So we did have the beach up a while ago, but I said, well, we need to go to the hayfield today. So just to show the variety and the depth that we represent here in North Carolina. It has been a pleasure to serve as the treasurer again this year. And with that, I am going to attempt to share the screen. And let's see here. We're going to take a look at our finances. And get back over here at it. Get over here. Come on. And hopefully with that, you are able to see the not only the budget for 2021, but also what we did in 2020. As Michael said, 2020 did prove to be quite a challenging year for all of us. And what I'm going to do here is basically the areas in the highlighted in the yellow is what I want to mention. In that, those were probably the areas that were most affected by COVID and our revised plans of business. And basically, we started last year with our annual meeting. There again, we had to cancel it right at the last minute, but thankfully we had the sponsorships that we had, and the most of those sponsorships chose to go ahead and just donate the money rather than having it refunded to them. Of course, our camp last year was canceled as well. When we put the budget together in October, we had anticipated maybe things releasing a little bit more, but unfortunately, we're going to go back to a virtual again this year. So we're probably going to have to revise the 2021 budget just a bit as far as the co-op camp and the income that it would generate if it were in person. As Michael said again, the dynamics course was done virtually. Rounding success was there. Hopefully this year in 2021, we can do maybe a combination of virtual as well as in person. So that is there as well. When we look at overall, our revenue was down about 23, well, it was down, but thankfully not as bad as it could have been. We are projecting some increase of revenue for 2021. And the majority of that is coming in the difference of the co-op camp as well as dynamics. Let me back up one little area right here. Membership dues. If I can, I would like to ask all of you to help Emily open some doors to some of the folks that you know that may not be current members of the Cooperative Council. A lot of times, Emily does a lot, but we all have a different set of keys. We have different set of contacts. And if you can, please use those keys or contacts to gain us an introduction for potential membership in the Co-op Council, because we do need to grow. We do need to grow. Moving down on into the expenses, of course, we did not have the expense that we normally have. Hopefully, next year we can go ahead back with our in-person meetings. And as a previous speaker said, Scott said that we could hug and greet and meet, shake hands, and do all those other things in person for 2022. Co-op camp, there again last year, expenses were a few, and there again, we will need to re-advise and readjust the 2021 budget there as well. Looking at the co-op dynamics, there again, we're anticipating a little bit of virtual and possibly in-state meetings as well. The other major factors this time, as far as 2020, became in the lack of ability to move and are doing things virtually, did reduce some expenses. And as Michael pointed out, overall, we did have a good year. We had a good year. We actually had more profit than we've had. And when we put the 2021 budget together, the theory was, and the goal is, to put our money to use. So we don't want to just necessarily accumulate a large stash of funds, but we don't necessarily want to go in a hole either. So basically, we end up with a balanced budget for 2021. Now, let's see if I can move over to, and we will entertain any questions that you may have as well. And let's see what we can do to take and look over at a different screen. And there we go. And what we're going to look at right now is our Cooperative Council balance sheet. And as you see here, we are financially sound. Thank you again, Emily, for the work that you've done to help keep us that way. And as Michael alluded to earlier, we did have an annual budget or an annual review, which was performed through the credit union, the Carolina Credit Union. And to get you the nuts and the bolts real quick, all areas that were reviewed had no exceptions. And Emily, thank you. That makes my job as the treasurer and the finance committee much easier. And I do want to put my appreciation out now to the finance committee, Jeff and Ronnie. Your assistance and support has been greatly appreciated. And with that, we will take any questions that you may have as far as the treasurer's or financial report, and we will go from there.
Thank you, Mark. Are there any questions from the floor? Okay, I'll take silence as a no, but Mark, thank you very much for your service, and to the Finance Committee as well. And it's nice to know we're fiscally sound, and other ways, I'm sure, too. Emily, again, Mark, thank you. Emily, let's your executive director report. What would you have for us?
All right. Well, 2020 was definitely an interesting year, as we all know. So my quick report on 2020, I started on maternity leave. So that was really fun, and came back to what I thought was going to be our in-person annual meeting. And it went virtual really quickly. And unfortunately, we didn't have the time to put all the fun bells and whistles together, but we did perform a virtual annual meeting. 2020 also brought the same information that we normally put out through newsletters, social media, and member events through the virtual channels. So everything went virtual. We did host a virtual Co-op Dynamics, and that was put together for the fall of 2020. We had over 70 attendees, and we had 8 amazing national guest speakers. So going to virtual wasn't a huge downside for the Co-op Dynamics, because we were able to bring in people that we wouldn't normally be able to hear from on a national level. So that was a really fantastic new employee, new board training that we had in the fall of 2020. Like it was mentioned, unfortunately, Cooperative Leadership Camp had been canceled. However, from 2015, when I started with the council, 2019 had been a huge success, and we had over 30 teens on our wait list beyond our 70 teen capacity. So we were on the track to have a really successful 2020 with applications, interest, and the educators that come out and support Cooperative Leadership Camp. For 2021, we are virtual for Cooperative Leadership Camp. I just want to mention that we do have our virtual information coming out, and you might have gotten that in your co-op boxes if you got a co-op box. But also we are looking for sponsors that are interested in helping us put together co-op boxes for the teens that will be sponsored for Cooperative Leadership Camp. These teens will receive a box similar to what you received, but not perishables, that will have the education materials and some fun goodies in it for camp, including we are looking for a sponsor that will help us design and purchase cooperative principal beach towels that will go out to all the teens. So this is not only an education tool, but a fun souvenir from Cooperative Leadership Camp that they can use down the road. So we are putting out a call for designers and sponsors that want to help us put that together. We are also looking for the business challenge folks that want to share a business challenge virtually with our teens to help them understand how cooperatives make business decisions. I'm excited for 2021 and even more excited to go back in person in 2022. 2020, like I said, was a very interesting year, but I think throughout the entire year with our committees that we have, with our volunteers and the cooperative support that we have through our membership, we had a fantastic year. So thank you so much to all those that really participated to make it amazing. And with that, back to you, Michael.
Thank you so much, Emily. Appreciate your work and your commitment to your position. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they would like to inquire of Emily? Okay, you know where to find her if something comes up, so don't hesitate. And always a wonderful conversation with Emily. So, all right, we're wrapping up our business meeting, which brings us to the passing of the gavel. It's been 2 years since I had the chairmanship come to me. 1 year very different than the other. But either way, it truly has been an honor and a privilege to have served in this capacity with the folks that came before me, the folks that came on while I've been here, and the folks that I see coming on. I've been humbled, really, truly, by the commitments and talents of so many in the cooperative community. I've learned so many different things about this state. I've been here for a while now. And even though I get out a lot, seeing the inside of understanding what's going on in rural North Carolina, a better understanding of what's going on in agriculture, how things are shifting and changing, how technology is affecting credit unions, but how it's affecting farming. I've had conversations, I've learned so much by people that are really willing to share what they're doing, what they're trying to do, and working together to reach a common goal all together. So a lot of fantastic people, and I'd like to pass the gavel to a fella that I've known just about the same. We both came into the cooperative community, I think, or at least credit unions at about the same time. I have great respect for him as a professional, as an individual. I spent a lot of time with Joe Mecca from Coastal Credit Union here in Raleigh. Solid guy, and I am very happy, privileged to be able to take the gavel and to pass it to Mr. Joe Mecca. Joe. All right, you got it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a privilege, and I'm not going anywhere. You just won't have to listen to me as much. Thank you, everybody, so much, and so good to see you. Joe, it's all yours, buddy.
Thanks, Michael, and thank you for your service to this board and your leadership over the last couple of years. It's certainly been great working alongside of you, and I know we'll continue to do that for the foreseeable future as well. So for everyone else, it's an honor to be able to serve as your next chair. Moving on, the next order of business is the installation of our newest board members. So the board recently voted to fill 4 vacancies, and our incoming directors are as follows. So Donna Bullard, who is the VP of Corporate Operations at Star Communication. So welcome, Donna. Susan Cashin, who is the VP and Chief Compliance and Administrative Officer at Piedmont Electric. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
Greg Coltrane is the Executive VP of Business Development at River Street Network. Welcome, Greg. And Emma Norman, who is the Director of Learning and Development at Local Government Federal Credit Union, someone who I'm also happy to have on board. So welcome, Emma. So congratulations to each of you. I look forward to working with you over the coming year to keep advancing the mission of the council and to keep adding value for the other cooperatives in our membership. Should also recognize the members who are rotating off of our board, and those are Tommy Bunn, Lisa Crawley, Amanda Perry, and Jeff Ship. And thank you all for your years of service to the board and your ongoing support of cooperatives across the state. So I think that ends the business portion of the meeting, and I will now gladly turn things back over to Emily.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. And thank you all to our new board members. Welcome. And I look forward to serving with you. You will get communication soon for our board orientation. But going forward, we're moving into our Safe at Home lunch. And I just want to thank Central Electric that they did sponsor our co-op boxes. Like I've reminded you, if you got one, please make sure if you put a P.O. box that you have received that. North Carolina Electric Cooperatives for sponsoring our items inside and the packing. Weaver Street assisted us with putting those together, and I packed those up and got those out to you. So hopefully you received that sometime in the next couple of days. Or in the past couple days, excuse me. And now I want to turn it over to Brenda Camp with Weaver Street Market, to bring on our lunch speaker. Brenda.
Thank you, Emily. I'm pleased to introduce our lunchtime speaker and my colleague, James Watts. James has been part of our management team at Weaver Street Market since 1992. He currently manages our merchandising department, and he is the buyer for our center store. James is passionate about making Weaver Street's local stores more relevant to the communities that they serve. As a community member, James serves as the board chair for the Piedmont Food Processing Center, which offers commercial kitchen space that enables food and agricultural entrepreneurship. He also sits on the Economic Development Advisory Board for Orange County and works closely with local suppliers to introduce primary value-added products to the local food system. Today, James will share with us the unfolding story of our Game Changers program, which reflects Weaver Street Market's mission to create a food system that's built on diversity, equity, and inclusion, a food system that empowers Black, Indigenous, and people of color as both producers and consumers. James, it's all yours.
Thanks, Brenda. And thanks to all of you for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. I'm actually quite amazed that you all want to hear about food purchasing, given the things that you all do every day and the vital services that you provide to the state. But I'm glad to talk about food, and it's something that I've been lucky enough to be part of for a long, long time. So I think that really the thing that is important to me to explain at the beginning of this is that really this is about Weaver Street Market recognizing and needing to be better members of the community. You know, one of the things that that was said to me by a good friend is that, you know, systems are designed and they get the outcomes that they're designed to create. And one of the things that Weaver Street Market recognized is that we designed a system and we got the results that that system, you know, built for us. And so now what we see is that our system built a food system for our members that isn't complete, that isn't good enough, that isn't representative of all the needs and aspirations of the community that we are expected to serve, and that we've only been serving a portion of that community really well, and that we need to do a better job in that area. And so the Game Changers program is a part of that. And before we get started talking about, well, how did we get here? Let me at least describe to you who and what a Game Changer product is. And the way that we describe that is it's a company or a brand owned by individuals that identify as Black, Indigenous, or persons of color. And then this last piece is the kicker: a population often underrepresented in retail markets. And, you know, the first part, everybody can get it. The second part is where the work is. The second part is all of the importance. The second part is where the challenge is for Weaver Street Market, and not just Weaver Street Market, but the food system writ large. I worked for a big chain grocer before I came here, and I can tell you that we understood that there were various markets and that you serve those markets, or, and quite honestly, if you're a chain grocer, that you extracted profits from those markets differently based on the consumers that lived in the market area around your store. So that being said, I want to talk a little bit about how did Weaver Street Market get here. So in 2020, it was a very interesting first quarter. Things were moving along as they always had. And then the pandemic really exploded for us. And what we saw is that our sales went up 50%. And just as quickly as they went up 50%, they plummeted. And what did that mean? That meant that customers were not safe in our space. That meant that we were having tremendous trouble finding supply. And it meant that we were adapting. During that period of time, we brought on e-commerce, which was something that we had no intention of doing in the space of 10 days. Literally, we signed a contract with a company. We brought on e-commerce in 10 days. Now, it was ugly e-commerce, but it was e-commerce. And by the end of the first month, we had a backlog of 2,000 orders. So that means that we were out 10 and 12 days. We kept on having to push the limit of how far we could push out orders in order to do more. We couldn't keep up. It was just getting bigger and bigger. That finally started to subside. We got our hands around what we were trying to do. As all of this was happening, society was also having a very difficult time around us, right? And we saw events that began to require us to take action. And finally, the murder of George Floyd in St. Paul actually spurred the company to say, we have to say something about this. We have to say something about discrimination and things that are happening in the world. And you know, what was unsaid was that it was the world out there, right? So it was somewhere else. It wasn't here. And a small group of courageous employees within Weaver Street Market, African-American employees, said, wait, you're talking about out there. Why don't you look in the mirror and talk about in here? Why don't we talk about us? Why don't we talk about what needs to be done here? And it was an uncomfortable moment. It's still uncomfortable. So that group of individuals, they named themselves the Equity Alliance. they said to themselves, they said to us, we are here, we're not going anywhere, and we need you to engage in doing hard work. Well, to his credit, our general manager, our CEO, did exactly that. He engaged with this group of individuals. He created space in the individual's work week to be able to meet not only with him, but then with other stakeholder groups within our cooperative to learn what we had to learn. And so the first thing that came out of that was product. And that's not surprising. We sell food. So of course, people wanted to talk about the food that we sell. And what does that mean? Well, I can tell you that it means a lot. You serve the community based on the products that you put on the shelf. You serve the community based on the producers that you're willing to buy those products from. You serve the community based on how you interact with those groups of people and the way that you work with them. So we did the easy thing. We started with, what does our product mix look like? How do we make sure that there are BIPOC producers on the shelf? And so I immediately went to my suppliers catalog and did a little bit of work and tried to find some Black owned companies and some other companies that I thought would fit the mix. At the same time, members of the team that I work with was also out in the community working, going to the Black farmers market, going with members of the Equity Alliance to meet with farmers, to talk with other stakeholder groups in order to begin that work. And so at some point in this process, right, probably back in September, October, we discovered, oh, we're on a DEI process. Wait, we've identified this thing, and now we have to start doing something about it. We have to start resolving it. And so that's kind of where we are today. We engaged a DEI consultant, not for a weekend, but for a 2-year contract, because we recognized that this is not a short-term thing to fix. This is a long-term learning education. This co-op has been managed by a white guy since the day it was formed, right? The merchandising manager, who also has served in a bajillion different functions inside this co-op, is a 16-year-old white guy. What are we going to do to recognize that we have inherent bias in the way that we do what we do, learn, and then do something different? So that's what we've been working on. We added product. We've added a lot of product. Some of it has been winning product immediately. Some of it has not been winning product immediately, but the impact so far has been hopeful and encouraging. We saw that the percentage that these game changer products represent has gone up 35% year over year, while our organic sales has gone down, right? I mean, we're in a very competitive environment. Our entire business model is built on come to Weaver Street Market, have something to eat, gather, sit out on the lawn, right? Well, in the last year, there's been no sitting on the lawn. There have been no food bars. The 35% of our sales that is represented by prepared foods was completely transformed. So we've really had some very interesting changes happen during this pandemic. And this piece of it is going to be the long lasting, the thing that is intrinsically different about who we are. Adding the items, we developed some special marketing around these items so that they're clear to every customer that comes in the store. You see the game changer icons on those stores. That messaging has been given to co-op owners over and over in our email blasts every week. We've made sure to market and merchandise these products prominently. We've made sure to do a better job with these items. It's not enough to just put them on the shelf and say that they're here. That means that we also have to work with the vendor. How can we make the product better? How can we make the product meet the needs of more of our customers? How do we work with you to make sure that what you're doing is not only successful for Weaver Street Market, but successful for your company? How do we make sure that this is not a one-time thing, that this is not some sort of Weaver Street Market absolving itself of a little bit of guilt, but actually changing a food system and designing something that is durable, lasting, and better. It is going to take time. We are going to continue this work forever. We will not be finished. So, what have we learned so far? Well, that last statement's a big part of it. We've learned that the statements of solidarity are good, but they're not impactful on their own. They have to be backed up with educating ourselves and action. And so what does that mean? That means that we have to be responsive to our internal community, the people who have worked with us to design this process and these processes throughout our organization. Because remember, I said we were now a part of a DEI process. It's not product selection, it's everything. It is, who do we hire and how do we onboard them well? How do we take the bias out of our interviewing systems? How do we take the bias out of our promotion and our employee development systems? How do we look at all of the various things we do? How do we look at what does our calendar look like? What do we market towards? Why? Is it, is it just Judeo-Christian holidays? Is that really what our marketing and calendar is about? And maybe the change of the seasons or March Madness, or should it be more? Does it have to be? And we recognize that it absolutely has to be more. And it's not focused towards one thing. It's learning what is out there in the community around us and then doing something to partner with those folks to do that work.
James, we have 2 minutes.
Excellent. So, I think the other thing that we've learned is that this is a systematic process. It's going to take a long time. We have done good work. It is not transparent enough yet. We have not figured out how to backfill the reporting back to our internal community and to our owners. We've got to figure that out. All the efforts so far have just been the beginning. We have not yet learned the parts of reporting and doing the accountability work to our membership. The other thing that we've learned is that in order to make the system more equitable, we're going to have to work on infrastructure building. This is something that credit unions and electric cooperatives learned a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations ago. Guess what? Food co-ops have to learn it now, right? We have got to learn how to make the system more equitable. So how do we take the biases out? How do we begin to make sure that land is available to BIPOC farmers? How do we make sure that credit is available to these farmers? How do we work with our partners in the co-op council to make sure that we can create a better world for all of these stakeholders. So I think that there's a lot of collaboration that we need to do with the members on this call over time, and we're going to need your help. I think the other piece is we need to learn from you as we learn from our owners and as we learn from our producers. So we need to hear what resonates for you and what I've said, and how do we do it better as a result. So that's what I've got. You know, we're on a path. We're at the beginning. It's a long path. Thanks, you all.
Thank you so much, James. Yes, and I love that Weaver Street is really supporting that DEI and continuing to learn and really understanding that it is a learning path, that we're not all right there on top of it and knowing what the next step is going to be. So it's great to hear that journey from your perspective and really understanding who's got a seat at the table to make those decisions. So now moving into our next portion, I am going to invite Patrice Jordan from Roanoke Electric on screen to introduce our Jim Graham Scholarship Award winner. And just note that the auction and raffle has closed out. And after this announcement, you will hear from Janet Jackson on our board about who has won those. So I will turn it over to Patrice over at Roanoke Electric.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Emily. Very appreciative to join you all today. Again, I am Patrice Jordan, Roanoke Electric Cooperative, Community Relations and Engagement. It is an honor to definitely have one of our very own youth team member owner from Roanoke Electric Cooperative to accept this 2021 Jim Graham Scholarship Award. The Roanoke Electric Cooperative, we're dedicated to serving our youth. They are our future member owners. And through this cooperative leadership camp, they get to experience a fun-filled week of being away from home, being away from their parents before they actually go out into the world, whether to pursue and educate their career or pursue college. So through this program, we also educate our youth on the cooperative difference and the 7 co-op principle. We want them to understand what a cooperative is, because they may one day be our future member owners or our future employees. So again, it is an honor to bring to you Tyler Gupton from Roanoke Electric Cooperative. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Gupton, and I am from Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. I go to Halifax Academy, and this is my senior year. In the fall, I plan on attending UNC Chapel Hill, and I would like to pursue a degree in either business or oceanography. I'm very appreciative that the Roanoke Electric Cooperative sponsored me to attend the Cooperative Leadership Camp. At the camp, I learned that often jobs, no matter how big or small, are often best tackled as a team. The electrical co-ops of North Carolina are able to pull together when times get tough, and I've learned the true value of a co-op. I am grateful to be the recipient of the Jim Graham Cooperative Leadership Scholarship, and I want to say thank you to all the members of the Scholarship Committee and the Cooperative Council members of North Carolina for awarding me this scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Patrice. It was great to have you here. And as she mentioned, the Cooperative Leadership Camp does educate our youth on what cooperatives are and how we are so special, but it also provides future leaders in our organizations. And from Roanoke Electric, Marshall Cherry is now the Chief Operating Officer for Roanoke Electric, and he attended camp a couple decades ago as a teen and sponsored by Roanoke Electric. So the full circle is there. So maybe Tyler will future be an employee of Roanoke Electric. Who knows? But anyhow, thank you so much, Patrice. And now we have Janet Jackson with our board with Central Electric, another sponsor of our co-op box. But Janet is going to share with us our closed out Jim Graham auction and raffle winners. So Janet.
Thank you, Emily. Congratulations to Tyler, but also congratulations to you guys for participating in the auction. That goes towards the Jim Graham Scholarship. And I have the winners, so listen up. I see a lot of repetitive winners. I think this was a very competitive auction. I heard them talking about outbidding each other. So the Go Local Asheville is going to Lauren Whaley. The Ash Cheese Skyline Sky Best goes to Jeff Harding. The Grandfather Mountain Passes Skyline goes to Jeff Harding. He was busy at work. The second set Grandfather Mountain Passes goes to Thomas Beckett. The Cabot Cheese Box, man, that was a competitive auction right there. I have some cheese. They did send me some cheese. Emily sent me some cheese and I loved it. But that goes to Lauren Whaley. And the Civic Federal Credit Union bag, the cooler, water bottle, and the speaker goes to Craig Beach. Maybe you can take it to the beach with you. The Carter Craven gift basket goes to Licia Galicia. The East Fork Pottery goes to James Watts. The Repat Quilt certificate goes to Emma Norman. I love those blankets. The Weaver Street Market basket goes to Jeff Harding again. And the Pretty Tough Virtual Training certificate, that's only if you want to get in shape, that goes to Tayun Dewberry. And then now I have to do a disclaimer. I did not pick the raffle winners. This was done random by Emily, and Emily, like about 5 minutes ago, just sent me the winners of who they are. So that's my disclaimer. The winners of the Raffle Oak Island Beach Trip, it's raffle number 568, and it turns out to be Janet Jackson. And the raffle for the Black Mountain Trip, it must be a Jackson thing because it's Courtney Jackson who won the Black Mountain Trip. Ticket number 565. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Janet. And I don't believe there's a relation between the Jacksons that won. So I think we're set on that. And I did use the random generator for our raffle pick. So those numbers were picked at random. I do have just a couple more quick co-op prizes that we have to get out. So get your chat box open. We have 3 more before Joe closes us out for the day. So more prizes, but here's our next one. How many families in the United States own their home through a cooperative housing organization? So a housing co-op. How many families in the United States own their homes in a housing co-op? So give me your answers. Those are coming in and we will see who can guess without going over. So we will get that number. We've got some answers rolling through. Just a couple more seconds here to get that number. This is how many families in the US own their housing through a housing cooperative. And we've got a couple coming in. Are we close, Whitney? Do we have anyone that's gotten it yet?
Right now, Center is doing well.
Okay.
Good job. And Susan's got it.
Susan, you are our winner on that one. Awesome. And now, next one. This is going to be an easy one. we're going to close out with 3 easy ones. Sorry, I had 1 extra. So first one, and this is going to be, who's going to be fastest on the typing there. So in North Carolina, how many telecommunication cooperatives are there? Jeff Ship had it real quick. Jeff, you got it. All right, 7. There are 7. You are correct. Now, next one.
Emily, actually, I think that's Michael. He put T7, but he put 7 first.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Just kidding. Michael, winner. All right, next one is in North Carolina. How many credit unions are there? So this should be a fist one. Did anyone get it?
Not just yet.
Really? We're still working? How many active credit unions are there? Active credit union charters. Anybody yet? No? Still working? The numbers keep rolling in, rolling in. All right. Anyone get it without going over? I think.
Without going over is Karen Powell. Richard Campbell is now.
Richard Campbell got it without going over. All right, there's 59 currently active credit union charters in North Carolina. All right, last one. You guys should know this is coming. How many electric cooperatives are there in North Carolina? Eddie, on it. Got it. All right. So those prize winners, please send me a good mailing address so that I can get those prize packs out to you. All right. And we're going to toss this over back to Joe Mecca for closing remarks. And I thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Emily. So thank you all again for joining us today, and thanks to all our presenters and our sponsors for making all of this possible. After all of these amazing stories, there's really not much left that I can say, so I'll just leave you with this. I hope that each of you found at least one new thing that you learned today, or something that excites you about the future of cooperatives in North Carolina. I encourage you to take that excitement and energy back to your cooperative, share it, and use it to make a positive impact for your membership. And finally, don't forget to keep supporting the council. Volunteer for one of the committees, participate in the cooperative leadership camp, and plan to attend and invite someone to attend the upcoming quarterly co-op coffee conversations. So the value that you get out of membership in this organization like ours is equivalent to what you put into it. So we encourage you to participate. So unless there's anything else, I guess with that, we are adjourned. So please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Joe. Take care, everyone. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.